Welcome to Motherhood Unscripted, the podcast that shares the unspoken changes that affects a woman after she becomes a mother. This podcast not only sheds light on the complexities of raising children, but also gives solutions that make them feel empowered, gets to talk about the honest and raw truths in motherhood. It also advocates for mental well-being of moms and also builds a community that connects mothers together. Let's walk together as we unlearn what society has taught us and learn who we are meant to be as women and mothers. Let's take this journey together. Welcome. Hi everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Motherhood Unscripted. I am your host Gladys Kangao, and I want to first of all say a huge thank you to our subscribers, those who watch these videos. They really give me the strength to keep on showing up for not only myself but for you who is watching, for you who is listening. And it's always a huge honor to even bring you these episodes, because I know that they hit home. They are relatable because I am also in the same journey of motherhood, right there with you. And whatever I'm bringing to you here is always helpful, is always something that you can relate. So thank you so much for those who have subscribed, those who watch these videos. I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. And also feel free to comment, if you are resonating with these videos, and also share to a mama in need. So without wasting any time, I want to introduce this wonderful topic that I know will hit home. So today we are going to talk about something that carries both pride and pain, something that many of us moms feel stretched. They feel stretched thin and constantly torn and quietly questioning if they are doing enough. And this episode is for the working moms, the ones juggling between deadlines and diapers, meetings and meal times, ambition and exhaustion. So this is one for the women with worn out hearts who keep showing up even when it feels impossible. So without wasting any time, let us begin. So being a working mom, sometimes you feel like you're living a double life because you're constantly switching from professional to mother to friend, partner, and sometimes all in 1 hour. So you leave work thinking about your kids, you're home with your kids thinking about your work, and somehow in between you try to find yourself. So there is this myth of balance, like we are supposed to somehow have it all. But in reality, having it all often feels like doing it all and doing it tired. Yeah. So you find that in this life of, being a working mom, we juggle so many things all at once, so many hats. You're constantly switching the hats all the time. And yeah, it might feel a bit overwhelming. So let's talk about guilt, because sometimes we feel like, there's guilt when you're paying too much attention at work. You feel there is a guilt when you're missing out at home. And when you're paying too much attention at home, there is guilt that maybe some of the deadlines that you're supposed to meet at work, some of the things that you're supposed to deliver at work, you've not met them. So there is guilt on both ends. It's the guilt that never sleep. So as a mother, as a working mom, sometimes you miss out on school events because you have to work. And sometimes you feel guilty, you're distracted at home. Sometimes you feel guilty, you're too tired to play. And even when you finally take a break from yourself, you feel guilty for that too. So it's like motherhood hands us a lifetime of subscription to guilt. I'll repeat again. It's like motherhood hands us a lifetime subscription to guilt. But let me tell you this, dear mom. Guilt is a liar because it tells you you're not doing enough. When in truth, you are doing more than most people could imagine. Every time you wake up early to prepare lunch, every time you stay up late finishing work so you can have more time tomorrow, every time you whisper, I am tired, but still show up, that is love in motion. You're not failing your children. You're showing them what resilience looks like. So you find that some of these types of, this guilt that, it's often with us, it's a sleep that never ends. You find that, you're always feeling guilty for something, so it's really, really tough for working moms to really, find a balance, because you're constantly on the move. You're either working or thinking about work, or when you're at work thinking about home, because again, in this journey of motherhood, it's something that is really demanding. And here you are having this job that is also extremely demanding. So, and there are other things on top. Yourself in between. You're still a wife, some of us, still a partner, some of us, you're still a sister, you're still a friend, you're still a daughter. There's so many things in between. So you can see how guilt can really consume us and really make you feel like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not really a good mom. And, those are some of the things that are expected of us at the same time. Yet, to be honest, we can't be able to meet all of them. Or even if we can, there's always something that you feel you're lacking. So I want you to picture this. You're waking up in the morning, if you're preparing your kids to go to school, or to, preparing your little one, those, moms who have young children and still have to go to work, you still have to ensure that, you have planned the day before you leave to work, or at least you've spent a little bit of time with them before, you go to work or your kids go to school. And maybe you've handled 3 tantrums already in that same morning. And maybe something has triggered you and you're feeling overwhelmed. And by the time you get to work, you've already done a full emotional labor. Yeah, already that you have left aside. And yet, when you finally get to work and sit at your desk, there's this little voice that is whispering, saying, you should be at home. And when you're at home, the same voice says, you should be working. So no wonder so many of us feel like we are never fully anywhere, because constantly on daily, you're always thinking, I should be at home tending to this. Maybe you've left your very young baby at home. So you're always thinking, I'm such a bad mom. And because you're constantly never fully at one place mentally. Because when you're at work, you're thinking about home. When you're at home, you're thinking about work. You're thinking about that deadline. You're thinking about that meeting. You're thinking about that client. So you find yourself, there are so many things that, as a working mom, we really, really struggle. And some, if not most, in silence. So let's talk about the identity shifts, yeah? Being a working mother, it changes your identity in ways that no one really prepares you for. you start to measure your worth in output. How many reports have you submitted? How many clients have you signed up? How many meals have you cooked? How many hugs have you given to your child? Have you done the laundry? Have you cooked? So, because it feels like that is how we measure our worth, by what we give. And I want to remind you, mom, who is listening, that motherhood isn't a performance, it's a relationship. And the success isn't being perfect, it's being present when it matters. Okay? So you can love your career and your children at the same time. There's nothing wrong with that. Because sometimes I know that, people usually make moms feel guilty, for loving their career and saying, you've left your home unattended. So it's really, really good to understand and to know that, yes, you can love your career and your children at the same time. These two loves can coexist, okay? Even if society makes you feel like they shouldn't. Because we live in a society where if you're too much career oriented, you're not a good mother. Or if you're a stay at home so much, you let yourself go, you're not really much. No one really takes you seriously. So that is how society, has made us moms to believe. But I want to remind you that, yes, those two can coexist. So I want to share a moment that has stuck with me. And as I was once preparing for a very important work call, and I was really, so you have to prepare yourself mentally. You're thinking, okay, I have everything ready. Do I have everything ready? You have to mentally prepare yourself. And my daughter walked in tears, and she had a small cut on her finger. And in that split second, I had to choose the meeting or the moment. Yeah. So it was really, really a tough thing, because now you are thinking about this work meeting, and at the same time now you have to console your little one. They come, you're still their mother. They need you. They are in pain. They are in agony. And it was really something that I just remember, having split moment. So many thoughts were going through my mind. Yeah. At that time, I know you're wondering what I did. I muted my mic, and I helped her. I cleaned up the cut and told her everything is going to be okay, and put a bandage on it. And I had missed the first few minutes of that work meeting, and then later guilt hit me for both reasons. I was feeling guilty because now I had, in the middle of that meeting, I had missed out, and at the same time felt like I had not given my daughter the attention that she needed. But later on that night, as I was tucking her in for her to go to bed, she said, "Mommy, thank you. I love you." And that was just my reminder. At work, I am replaceable. It reminded me that, yes, as much as my work is really important, at my job, I can be replaced anytime. But at home, to my children's eyes, or my child, my daughter at that time, I was her everything. When she said that thank you, and she was feeling all much better, much, much later. Yeah. So as you can see, some of these things you have to see, as for yourself, what truly matters for you. As much as, yes, work is really important, Yeah, so let us reframe balance and figure out how do we reframe balance, because let's be honest, moms, we can never find the perfect work and being a mom. There is no perfect balance. But what if I tell you that balance isn't about equal time? It's about aligned priorities. And sometimes, yes, your career needs you more. And some days, your child does. And sometimes, you need you. Because at the end of the day, some of these things, it's always constant. Your works can be really demanding at times. Yes, it's normal. Sometimes, yes, your home can be demanding. And sometimes also, you yourself as an individual, you need yourself. One thing that I've learned about balance, it's seasonal. There is no time of the year that now you're balancing things consistently. It's not static. And the real question, I'm sure some of you really ask yourselves at home or at work, am I doing enough? And the real question isn't, am I doing enough? That is not the real question. It's, am I being kind to myself while I do what I can? Okay? So always know that, are you being kind? Because sometimes, usually, we as moms are our biggest critics. We are our biggest critics. We are constantly, judging ourselves. We are constantly beating ourselves up because I didn't do this on time. I didn't, do that. So that is just a reminder, always ask yourself if you're being kind to yourself while you're doing the best that you can with what you have. Here are a few things that might make the load a little bit lighter. 1, release perfection. You don't have to be a super mom. You just have to be a real one. Because there is no such thing as being a perfect mom. Yeah? So another thing you can do is create boundaries, not walls. Protect your time, your rest, your peace, but let love flow freely from where it matters the most. So that is another reminder. Build a support circle, whether it's another mom at work, a partner, or a friend who listens without judgment. And also a community to keep you grounded. Yeah. So once you've have some of these things, they really help you, make the load feel lighter, knowing that you're not alone. Another thing, celebrate the small wins. Yeah. Even a day and that ends with everyone fed and a few laughs here and there, that is victory. You have conquered that day. As much as maybe you might have a bad day, some of these things can really make your load feel a little bit lighter, okay? So if you're listening right now, exhausted, wondering if you're enough, I want you to hear this. You are not failing. You are not behind. You are not less of a mom because you have dreams outside your home. Your love shows up in many forms, in the work that you do, in the sacrifices that you make, in the moments you choose presence over perfection. You're teaching your children the power of persistence, passion, and purpose. And that is something to be proud of. So, if this episode spoke to your tired heart, Share it with another working mom who needs to hear she's doing an amazing job, even when it doesn't feel like it. You can also message me on Instagram and tell me what part of your working mom journey you're learning to give yourself grace in. I'd love to share your reflections in the future episode. Thank you for tuning in to Motherhood Unscripted. Until next time, take a breath, release the guilt, and remember you're building something beautiful both at work and at home. Thank you for listening, and always remember to like, share, and subscribe. Take care. Bye-bye.